They didn't die in battle. They didn't disappear in chaos. They were lined up, one by one, and shot in the back of the head, and then the world was told a lie. This is Katyn. In 1940, an entire class of Poland's leaders vanished. Officers, teachers, doctors, police chiefs, not hundreds, thousands, gone. When the Soviet Union invaded eastern Poland in 1939, tens of thousands of Polish soldiers were captured. The Red Army called them prisoners of war. They were registered, filed, catalogued. Families were told, "Don't worry, they're safe." That was the last honest thing anyone heard, because this wasn't a prison system. It was a selection process. Soviet secret police, the NKVD, began reviewing files, not randomly. They targeted officers, professors, engineers, police commanders, anyone educated, anyone who could lead, anyone who could rebuild Poland. This wasn't about security. It was about erasing a nation's brain. If you remove the leaders, resistance dies. Then the transfers began. Small groups, night transports, forests, pits already dug. No trials, no charges, no records. Just a bullet, one shot to the back of the head. Another body, another name crossed out, over and over, for weeks. By spring 1940, nearly 22,000 people were dead. Not soldiers in combat, prisoners, executed. Imagine what that means. A country doesn't just lose men, it loses teachers, judges, doctors, fathers. An entire generation of leadership removed, like deleting the future. But the killing wasn't the worst part. The lie was. Families waited for letters. They got none. Years later, notices arrived. Died in battle. But there had been no battle, just paperwork and graves. Then in 1943, mass graves were discovered in the Katyn Forest. Bodies stacked, hands tied, bullets in skulls. The evidence was obvious. So what did the Soviets do? They blamed the Nazis. And unbelievably, the world played along. During World War II, the Soviet Union was fighting Germany. They were now an ally. And accusing your ally of mass murder? Politically inconvenient. So governments stayed quiet. Diplomacy came first. Truth came last. Families kept asking, "Where are our fathers?" No one answered. Picture one of them, a history teacher, carried chalk in his pocket. Had a son waiting at home. He thought he was going to a transfer camp. Instead, he walked into a forest and never came back. His desk stayed empty for decades. That's Katyn. Not numbers, but chairs that never filled again. For years, the Soviet Union denied everything. But lies leave trails. Documents surfaced. Orders signed, execution lists, and finally, decades later, the truth became undeniable. The killings were ordered by Stalin's regime. Systematic, deliberate, state murder. Katyn wasn't just a massacre. It was an attempt to erase memory itself. If you destroy a country's leaders, you don't just win a war. You reshape its future. That's what makes it terrifying. It wasn't rage. It was paperwork. Calm, efficient, planned. And that's why Katyn still matters. Because when power decides who gets to exist, history can disappear overnight. Unless someone keeps saying the names.